What's going on, everyone? I'm the OPJellicent, and I'm battling here for week number 8 of WPL season number 9. My opponent this week was Henry, coach of the New York Rangers. Very solid player and very good friend who I've battled multiple times this generation. And every time we battled, it seems to be very one-sided. The first time we battled, I ended up beating him with Choice Scarf Kieran Black. The second time, he beat me with Z Hale Kieran Black in WPL a couple seasons ago. And then the third time, which was on a non-upload league a couple months ago, I was able to wall him out with Mega Venusaur plus Celesteela. So ideally, this match is not one-sided because I want it to be a really close game since it's probably going to be our final game of the generation, unless we do battle in the playoffs, of course. So let's talk about my team. I'm not trying to head out a free win right here, despite the fact that I do have playoffs locked at this point. With the 7 wins, I have Choice Scarf Gardevoir, which is the primary win condition for this game. The one thing I need to weaken is Deblade, but I do carry the Shadow Ball just in case he wants to switch that in. My Reuniclus right here is Calm Mind Recover with Psyshock and Shadow Ball as well to be able to hit the Deblade, but it's mainly my Mega Medicham response. My Roserade is Spike's Z Extra Sensory. It's my primary response to both Clefable and the Toxapex, just because I can take Natural Cure. Well, I can take Thunder Waves due to Natural Cure, and then obviously I don't really care about Scald Burns. I actually carry Shadow Ball over a Hidden Power just because I don't have Technician and I want to be able to hit Deblade as hard as possible, so that's definitely the optimal coverage right here. My Mega Tyranitar is mainly here just to reverse the weather. The rain is definitely a threat, but I can also get up rocks with it on Pokemon like Clefable, Toxapex, and Deblade depending on whether or not he has Sacred Sword. My Tornadus is Fizz Def Charty Berry to help out against Mega Medicham. He did also have a potential Garchomp, which I could use this to respond to, so obviously that did not come, so it's mainly here for Medicham. It does have the Charty Berry though, which isn't going to be very useful at all right here. In fact, I don't think he has any potential rock coverage. And then finally, my Keldeo right here is Assault Vest, just to help out against Kingdra. I do carry Fizdev just in case it is a Z Outrage set, because I'm pretty sure this was one of his Z move users. I actually have Endeavor on it too, just because if it is weak and he tries to pivot into Toxapex, I can just weaken it with Endeavor, which would be really nice for me. So with all that said, let's see what went down right here. I decided to lead off with my Tornadus, mainly because it's not that useful since Garchomp didn't come, and he leads off with Medicham. This Hurricane doesn't do a lot of damage, meaning it's very bulky, shown from that Zen Headbutt damage, which doesn't do too much to me. I decided to switch into my Reuniclus right here. Like, I could have just stayed in and gone for Hurricane again, but if I miss and lose Tornadus, that isn't really that great for me, so I decided to just go out into Fizz Def Reuniclus, which I know can take that on. He decides to make a safe switch himself into the Toxapex, which I definitely agree with, but this Reuniclus switch actually ends up working out for me right here. Now, I could Calm Mind, but he could have Haze, he could have Toxic Spikes, and I really don't know. I have to just go right for the attack, being Psyshock, as he's going to go ahead and knock off my leftovers. A bit annoying because it reduces my longevity against Medicham, but predicting him to want to go out into the Deblade this next turn, I go right for the Shadow Ball right here, when he very well could have just recovered that thing up, and that's so good for my Gardevoir. He knows he can't stay in just because if he takes another Shadow Ball, Gardevoir basically has the game won with Psychic, so he goes here into the Clefable. I go into Roserade just in case he decides to go right for Thunder Wave, but he's actually going to go right for his Hazards, which does make sense because this was his only Stealth Rocker on this team, so I definitely understand. I can respond with my own Hazards right here though, knowing he's going to switch out. As he goes out into the Toxapex, and like I did mention, I do carry these Z Extra Sensory, so I go for regular Extra Sensory first for a couple of reasons. One, he could show random Banful Bunker, but I also just want to be able to get the Extra Sensory off just in case he tried to recover that turn. He just goes for the Gunk Shot, which is good tech on his part because it does more to Roserade than Scald or Poison Jab or anything like that. And this next turn I can go ahead and fire off that Z move and get rid of the Toxapex, so that is nice and all. It does help out my Keldeo, but besides that, it's really not that useful for Gardevoir and much else, so it's really not that big of a deal for him to lose Toxapex. He goes out here into the Pelipper. I could stay in anticipating U-turn, but decide to go out into my Tyranitar just to reverse the weather on him and try to get up my own Hazards, as I believe he does just go right for the U-turn, which is definitely his best play. Allows him to get in the Mega Medicham, but I have a really safe switch in with my Reuniclus because as you guys will see right here, he reveals to be a Drain Punch set, not a High Jump Kick set, so that really works out for me. And I'm just going to make the safe play once again, go right for the attack rather than recovering up, because getting rid of this is going to be really instrumental just for speed control for Tyranitar as well as Roserade. He goes out into the Pelipper this next turn as I withdraw into the Tyranitar, and he goes right for, I believe, a Hydro Pump. And this next turn following the Hydro Pump, he actually ends up missing the next one as I Mega Evolve right here, and it hits right to the left, or I guess the right in this case. It was left for him. That's really big because I actually end up hitting my Stone Edge and knocking this out. That was a Choice Scarf Pelipper because I did have the speed control for it, but we're up 6-3 at this point, and his one win condition basically was the Kingdra, just because that would be the one way of maintaining speed control. But at this point, it's basically over because he's going to go out into the Deblade to be able to revenge this, but I still have so many factors for the Kingdra that I really can't lose to it. I have Icy Wind on Tornadus in case it's like Dragon Dance. Keldeo can basically take it on. I decided to go Keldeo right here just to take care of this, because I don't really want to have anything else come in. Nothing else really reliably takes this on. Yeah, I just go for it for a couple of serves. He's able to weaken me with the Shadow Sneak, but even with this damage, he really can't beat this with Kingdra, because the one way he can win is if he's a Dragon Dance set, right? But he has to lock Outrage to be able to beat this, and then I can just go Gardevoir after and spam Moonblast, so this is basically over. So he's gonna go. I'm gonna go right for the Endeavor right here. You could argue spamming Icy Wind right here was the better play, but if I miss and he Dragon Dances multiple times, that's like the one way I lose. I just had to just take damage and then let him Dragon Dance, which, spoilers, he does end up being a Dragon Dance set. I can just Icy Wind this next turn, because he has to Waterfall flinch me and hope he dodges, but even then, I can just go out into Tornadus after, which with the Fizz Def I have can take this on. So pretty much right here, I really hope I get this Icy Wind off, and I'm not able to do that, and this is where things start to go pretty interestingly. He's able to knock me out. I do have my Gardevoir EV to live a +1 Atom into Waterfall, so I decided to try that right here. You could argue going Tornadus was the better play first, just because I could potentially get the Icy Wind off, and then Choice Scarf Gardevoir could just clean with Moonblast, but he actually ends up revealing to have a move right here called Iron Head, which is able to just blow me away. So Gardevoir is gone, but it's still not the end of the world. What I can do here is go Tornadus, and assuming I'm able to get an Icy Wind off, what I can do is get him slower for my Roserade, and then Roserade can just clean up the game with Sludge Bomb. So as long as this doesn't get hacked as well, I should be fine. So he goes right for the Waterfall, and of course we get flinched right here. So that is basically going to be the game, because he can knock me out with Waterfall. And then these last two Pokemon are not healthy enough to take the Outrage, so he will be able to just Outrage right now and knock out my last two Pokemon. Even had I gone Tornadus first, it obviously did not matter, because he would have been able to knock me out, and then Gardevoir dies to Iron Head, so that is going to be a 2-0 in Henry's favor. Obviously, I did luck him first with the Hydro Pump miss. If he did win the Weather War, that would have been really big. Honestly, I would have preferred to see how the game would have played out had none of the hacks happened. He just gets the Weather War, but then I don't get completely swept by Kingdra, having no chance with all that hacks. Like, if I break through with Keldeo without the flincher and I'd hit the Icy Wind, Gardevoir just comes in and clicks a Moonblast, and then Roserade beats the Clefable, right? So, really unfortunate turn of events right there, but we still have playoffs. We're 7-1. I believe that moves Henry up to 6-2, so one more win and he should have his playoff spot secured. And yeah, not too stressed out about this. Definitely sucks to not be able to pick up the 8th win this week, but it's okay. I did hope you all enjoyed. There was not really that much of a one-sided game, which I did mention was the most important thing to me, and I will see you all next week. Later.